Hello all my Kenvians and welcome to a new episode of Discovering Steven Universe. Today, I'm going to be doing, obviously, another two-parter before apparently one that is going to be long enough for 2 episodes. Regardless, today I'm going to be watching The Question and Maid of Honor, which, admittedly, I feel like the next episode kind of gives away what the question might be, but then again, the show has had a habit of changing or messing with the things I assume about what might be coming, so there's really only one way to find out, and that is to watch the episode itself. And last we left off, Steven and Amethyst found Ruby with Greg at the top of, what is it, Brooding Hill or something like that? Anyway, let's get going. In 3, 2, 1, go!
How'd you find me? We sensed you.
We heard you ordered pizza.
The rest of my life could be like this. I don't have to be guarded. I could be on my own.
Sure.
Huh?
I guess.
What? We gotta get them back together.
Well, that's not our call to make.
Yeah,
Ruby's
exactly.
gonna want that for herself. If that's not what Ruby wants, then it's not what Garnet wants, right?
Yeah!
So,
Yeah!
where are you going?
The cowboy thing.
That's even better. The open plain. That's where I want to go.
Why would she be a cowboy?
Horsing around.
That seemed more dramatic than necessary.
Yeah.
It was all my choice. Hee-haw! Independence!
She's outside. She's got something to say to you.
Or to ask.
Sapphire, will you marry me? What?
Ah!
Marry you?
Ah!
This way we can be together even.
Psst, it's me. I'm a horse.
Oh. Oh, that's adorable. And of course it cuts right into the next episode, which is something that's really hard about these episodes that I'm going through. Alright, let me fix that. Okay, that should work just fine. Oh! Okay. Oh, so like I said, I have so many thoughts about this episode. And because I know that I've gotten sidetracked thinking about, like, the big subject that I want to talk about in the previous video, or even previous videos, I want to touch on some of the smaller aspects first, some of the things I wrote down, and then I'll get into the big picture aspect. So first of all, one of my favorite things about this episode is how Greg takes the news of Rose Quartz being Pink Diamond. And I mean, I figured he would be okay about it because, as far as he knew, well, not even just as far as he knew, but she was still the same person he fell in love with. It was just a matter of identities, or a matter of names. Because even when Rose Quartz, she was still Pink Diamond underneath. So Greg never knew that she was Pink Diamond. She never knew that he was Greg DeMayo. And I really like that perspective on it. I really like Greg's perspective on so many things. It's very, like, some could probably say that it's almost like he doesn't care, or he just sort of brushes it off. But that's not necessarily true. He's been through a lot, and he's learned a lot of things, so instead of it being seen as just not caring, I think it's that he's mature enough that he's able to process these things in his own way. Like, yeah, I'm sure part of him would have been upset about finding out that the person he loved and fell in love with isn't exactly the person he thought, but that doesn't change who she was to him. And him having a previous name, or before Mr. Universe, doesn't change who he is or who he was when Rose fell in love with him. So again, I really like that perspective and how they played that out. Another huge thing about this episode is the focus on what Ruby wants. Ruby finding herself. Ruby figuring out what makes her happy. And again, I'm going to come back to that for more of the big picture aspect, but that is such an important thing about this episode. So important. And then, probably one of the funniest aspects, and I'm sure I probably missed a bit of dialogue when I made this realization. I apologize for that. But the fact that Sapphire's prediction back in the previous episode about why would she be a cowboy, it's perfect. It's perfect and ridiculous, and this season continues to just blow my mind in how well done the writing on this show is. Not only all the things that they left clues for and was planned from the very beginning, clearly, but just the way they're even doing these short-term things, the way that they have that continuity, that just the idea of Ruby for some reason being a cowboy was so ridiculous to me and to Sapphire as a character. But when that comes about, it's like, oh my god, it makes sense. Not, why are they doing this? That's stupid and ridiculous. It makes sense, and it's so good. And that brings me to another element here, which is something that I often forget about, /skip, and that is the track of the episode here. And whether or not it's the actual name of the song, Ruby Rider. Now I will say this, the voice actor for Ruby does not have my favorite singing voice. I do not mean to put her down in any way by saying that. It's not as strong of a singing voice as what a lot of the other characters have, but at the same time, a lot of those characters are trained in music. They've been on Broadway. So it's like, it was clear to me that the voice actor here gave their all and did a good job of singing that song. Just this very old-timey Western song, or in the style of sort of an old-timey Western song. And if you listen to recordings of a lot of the old-timey Western songs, there wasn't a big focus on, like, perfection, making sure all the sounds were right, making sure, like, you know, the person singing was, you know, exactly mixed in or, like, exactly on cue. That perfect notion that a lot of people have for music these days, or even, you know, classically, like when it came to orchestras and stuff. No, her voice worked really well for that song. Even if it's not a personal favorite song of mine, it really worked well there. So, yeah, great job to the voice actor there for singing, and just the people that wrote that song in general. I really enjoyed it. And then, of course, there's Horse Amethyst, which was ridiculous and hilarious. And that part at the end with Pearl, when Amethyst comes up, it's like, psst, it's me. I'm a horse. And Pearl's reaction is like, at first she's just like, what the? Oh, it's you. Of course. Yes. Just awesome. Now, to talk about the bigger picture of this whole episode, it goes back to the idea of finding out what Ruby wants. Is Steven's big worry about there potentially not being a Garnet anymore, of Sapphire and Ruby never fusing again, because it's clear that Ruby wants to set out on her own. And this is one of the biggest aspects of a healthy relationship. And it's like they say, Rose told them originally that they, as Garnet, were the answer. I still don't think that's wrong. I think that Rose was correct in that. But this episode showed what a person, a character, going through some self-discovery, finding themselves, becoming comfortable in their own skin. Ruby was always super high-strung, always just worrying about Sapphire or being upset about having a disagreement with Sapphire, never taking time to think about herself. And that's something that a lot of people, myself included in the past, get lost in when it comes to relationships, whether they're overall healthy relationships or toxic relationships in which one person can make another person feel like they can't live without them, and if they are left without them, then it's like they're not worth anything. So Ruby taking that time, and again, this is so much to fit into just such a short episode. But that self-discovery, finding happiness in herself, taking risks that she never thought that she'd be able to take. It's like, she's always been, as a Ruby, they're servants, they're grunts, they're always told what to do. They always fuse into a bigger Ruby. They're always like, enforcers or something like that. Well, I guess grunts is more of a better way to put it. And even when she escaped that, it was always with Sapphire, and she never felt comfortable. She was never happy being apart from Sapphire. But she found herself. She found a life she enjoyed. She found that she could be comfortable in her own skin, or whatever you would consider the equivalent of a gym having. Comfortable in her own minerals. I don't know. Sorry. But, well, what I'm trying to say here is she took the time to find herself, and she came to the decision, not because anyone else wanted her to get back with Sapphire, but because she found another life. She found something she enjoyed. And despite that, or not even despite that, but along with that, she wanted to share that with Sapphire. She wants to share the life she has, whether it's being a cowboy or whatever it is they do. She wants to be with Sapphire. As long as Sapphire agrees with her that she also wants to be with Ruby. And that right there, that is just the definition of a good, healthy relationship. Not having to have someone else be there, not just absolutely not being able to function without your significant other there with you. It's living your life and wanting to share that with the person you love. And that person you love also wanting to share that life with you. It's just so well done. And as always, I apologize if any of this is a bit incoherent or a bit rambly, but there's so many things that they've portrayed well, especially in these last few episodes, that are so adult, but so so much things that kids need to be able to learn. Kids need to be taught that often adults just don't, because, oh, they're just kids. They have no reason to know yet. This portrayal of a truly healthy relationship. I mean, they had a healthy relationship to begin with, but then they went through hard times, and there's no such thing as a relationship that doesn't go through hard times. There is no relationship, no healthy relationship on this planet that has never had an argument, that has never had a falling out to a varying degree. But it's how you grow from that, and it's how you find a way to come back together. Or you find a way to better yourself as an individual. There are so many elements to that, of finding and having a healthy relationship. And they did such a good job on this show with portraying that. And just kudos to everyone on the Steven Universe team. You all did an excellent, excellent job with this. And I guess before I head into the next episode, which is Maid of Honor, which clearly going to have something to do with a Maid of Honor. That is Maid of Honor, I suppose. But, like I said before, Rose said that Garnet was the answer. And she's not wrong. Perhaps not in the way that was originally intended. Perhaps not in the way that Ruby and Sapphire originally took it. But Ruby asked Sapphire the question. She popped the question. And that answer is Garnet. The answer to that is Garnet. Whether they have fused or whether they're their individual selves, they are still Garnet. Because as Greg himself said, if Ruby doesn't want to be with Sapphire, or if that's not what Ruby wants, then that's not what Garnet wants. So them both wanting the same thing is no different than fusing. They want to be together. And in that way of going through a marriage, symbolically, they always are together. So symbolically, the answer is they are always Garnet. If that made any sense at all. Oh, but yeah, I have talked forever about this episode in particular. So, my apologies there. Let's get right into Maid of Honor and find out what the heck's gonna happen. Although you all already know, so I'll be the one finding out. In 3, 2, 1, go!
The cow, you gotta put a ring on it.
But Sweetums, who says that?
Let's take a look at
You want to chew the cow?
You got flames on it? Oh. So my dad will finish playing the music and then...
I know who the Maid of Honor is going to be.
Biggs was beloved by everyone.
Is she going to... Oh no.
You don't understand. Come on, Biggs, help me free the other. Biggs.
Oh no.
Bismuth?
Oh my God! It all makes sense now.
Pretty wild, right?
Question: This is gonna be the best wedding ever. So what's a wedding?
So we're getting everything ready for out. Did you bismuth me? Anyway, it's not gonna matter what you say.
Hey everyone. Did you guys bismuth me?
I win! Less importantly, who are you? Bismuth. I hope that's cool.
Ruby, Sapphire, I heard you're supposed to bring gifts to these things. And these aren't weapons.
She made wedding rings!
You think they'd come in handy.
We love them!
Oh! Oh my god! I did not expect that! That was so good! Da-da-dum! Oh my goodness, okay. So definitely not as much to talk about on the big picture things here. Although I can still definitely talk about that quite a bit, but that was a good episode. That was... I love the way that they brought Bismuth back. And as I wished originally, it seems like Bismuth is back for good. Like, I don't see any reason why Bismuth won't be staying as a new permanent member of the Crystal Gems for however much longer the show lasts. Oh man. I just absolutely love that. I love it. So, to start off with, before I do get into, I guess, another sort of big picture aspect of this, the thing that Ruby said at the beginning, it was a weird amalgamation of sayings, kind of, but I think it was, I think I wrote it down incorrectly, but if you want to drink the cow, you gotta put a ring on it. I just don't even know what to say to that. Just one of the best misunderstandings of sayings I think I've ever heard, including the ones that are said by the old guy at the bar in Boondock Saints. If you've ever seen that movie, I'm sure you probably know what I'm talking about. The old guy that mixes up the euphemisms and all that. But regardless, that was an awesome line. Ridiculous, but awesome line. And then all the wedding prep that was going on. Bringing Perry in and, well, I mean, one thing that keeps getting me, I keep forgetting that she's not at the barn. It's like she is just there at the house right now. So, of course, she would be there. That makes sense. It's hard for me to, I guess, even now, grab onto the concept that Lapis isn't there, the barn isn't there, so Perry is there at where the Crystal Gems are. I always forget what it's called. But yeah, that's all the wedding prep, seeing Lapis, or not Lapis, Peridot lick the envelopes, and just her sheer abhorrence to it was hilarious. And yeah, the rest of it was just honestly really, really cute. And then we get to the meat of the episode, where during the wedding prep, Sapphire starts talking about all those people that can't be there, all their friends that are bubbled or corrupted. And then Steven goes to get Bismuth. And I will say, I did appreciate the fact that they didn't do sort of a retelling of the whole thing, or even try to summarize it. It's basically, it's a long story, and then cut to the next scene, so that's pretty much it. And the way Bismuth took it, the way Bismuth took that news it makes sense. She said it herself, that it makes sense why Rose didn't want to do that. And yeah, I'm stumbling over my words at this point, but yeah, just like how I liked how Greg took the news about Rose being Pink Diamond. The way Bismuth took it was equally as pleasing, I guess you might say. But even then, it's like, she takes into concept this whole thing that's like, how could anyone forgive her? It's like, even though she didn't attack them, she attacked Steven. She invented something that unknowingly would have been used to shatter the leader of the Crystal Gems, who is also Pink Diamond. But also, it's like she didn't understand how the crystal gems were still together after it was revealed that sort of everything was a sham. Which I don't agree with Bismuth's take on it in that degree. I don't agree that it was a sham. It was definitely a lot of misunderstanding. It was a lot of lying taking place. But what they were fighting for was not a sham. And I feel like what Steven has become, and in conjunction what Pink Diamond and Rose Quartz have become, shows how much things can change. And even though things are very much different, like Garnet has always been the leader of the Crystal Gems since Rose left. But at this point, I really do feel like, regardless of the fact that, he found out about being Pink Diamond, Steven has come into his own as a leader. He really has. I'm definitely rambling and talking over myself at this point. But there were just certain things that this episode made me think about, thanks to Bismuth's perspective, and then Steven showing her how things can change. And yes, even though the others didn't unbubble her because of what she had done, but he's the one that bubbled her. He's the one who was attacked, and he's the one who is showing forgiveness for that act. And in showing up together, it's showing the solidarity to the others that everything is okay. So yeah, I think I'm overthinking this episode, so that's why I'm talking over myself. Maybe I should have just dedicated these 2 episodes to have videos of their own, so I wouldn't just feel so overwhelmed. But yeah, I really like how all that played out. And one other thing that Bismuth pointed out that I really liked is the fact that in the end, Rose Quartz / Pink Diamond actually did take Bismuth's advice and shattered Pink Diamond. Shattered. So, yeah. Even though there was all that misunderstanding, all those misconceptions, is like, she took Bismuth's advice to heart. Regardless of whether, in the end, Pink Diamond came to that conclusion herself, it was obviously inspired by what Bismuth had said before. So yeah. And then at the end, of course, when Bismuth and Steven appear, Peridot wins, because she was the one still holding up her can, as also the only one there who hadn't yet met Bismuth. So yeah, Bismuth is going to be the maid of honor. She is maid of honor. And I don't know about you all, but I am ready to watch the 22-minute episode of Reunited. To get into it and just see what's going to happen. Because especially since it's a 22-minute special, I mean, obviously the wedding's going to happen. But what else will happen? Because when it comes to the specials, it's always something big. Like, the last big one, the first 22-minute special was when Bismuth was introduced. And the other, longer ones since then, they've had their own thing. But this 22-minute episode, Reunited, what is it going to offer? Will it be when the great, scary white diamond is finally introduced? And if so, does that mean that blue and yellow are going to appear as well? As I said, there's only one way for me to find out, and that is to watch the next episode. So until next time, everyone, I am Papa Kenn. I'm ending it too early again. Everyone, I really want to hear what you have to say about these 2 episodes in the comments down below. And I also want to hear what you have to say about, what I've said. I guess more so as far as the episode, the question, since I had actual thoughtful things to say, and I just kind of stumbled over my words for Maid of Honor. But yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing what you all had to say. And to end it truthfully this time. Sorry about that. Anyway, until next time, everyone, I am Papa Kenn, and I will see you in the next episode of Discovering Steven Universe.